නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස පන්දනං චපලං චිත්තං දුරක්ඛං දුන්නිවාරයං උජුං කරෝති මේධාවි උසුකාරෝව තේජනಂತಿ. Dear Dhamma friends, today we are going to start a little series which explains about Dhammapada, and slowly we are trying to use Dhammapada verse by verse to our meditation. So I started with mind, the section which is dealing with mind, where Buddha has explained various facets of the mind in this chapter. So the verse that I have used is the first verse, which is telling certain characteristics of the mind, which is basically untrained. First Buddha says it is pulsating, it is constantly changing, fluctuating. That is the term pandanang in Pali refers. So basically we can understand that the mind goes up and down. In the morning it may be very happy, in the evening it may be very unhappy, or it may jumps from one place to the other. So likewise there are many fluctuations happens inside the mind. So therefore Buddha says it is pandanang, it is pulsating, it is fluctuating. Then Buddha explains another quality of the mind, basically the untrained mind, that is very difficult to make it steady. It is unsteady, it is very fickle. So therefore it is called chapalang. So it's unsteady. You can't straighten it easily. So therefore the original nature of the untrained mind is unsteady. Again, it is very difficult to protect, very difficult to guard. Suppose that you want to guard your mind, simply you want to keep your mind only on the foot, it's very difficult. Suppose when you are doing sitting meditation that you simply want to keep your mind on the breath, it's very difficult to protect it, very difficult to guard, because it is jumping from this to the other rather than staying where we want. So that is another quality of the untrained mind that is extremely difficult to guard. Again, it's difficult to restrain. Now suppose that you want to think only about some wholesome qualities. Suppose that you want to think only about some wholesome activities. Very difficult. It is constantly thinking of something that you did bad, or something that harms the mind, not beneficial to you. So mind constantly go to various other areas. It may be either past or future, which is not useful. Even though we know that it is not useful, still mind jumps to that, which is not useful, harmful even. So therefore it's very difficult to restrain it. So these are the typical qualities of untrained mind. So in Satipasala we are trying to train the mind or straighten the mind very slowly, because it is very difficult to train the mind immediately. So therefore we are using various techniques to train the mind slowly. So one such activity is walking meditation. So I am using walking meditation to explain this verse. So how such straightening would happen? Suppose at the beginning that when you are beginning your walking session, so basically you are trying to keep your attention on the left foot and right foot. So you even use noting or labeling simply to straighten the mind, simply to keep your attention on the left foot, and again to keep your attention on the right foot. When it is touching the ground, if it is left foot, so we are simply noting it as left. When it is touching the ground, if it is the right foot, then we are noting it as right. So as we move forward, so slowly we can understand, so we are developing certain quality, certain skill, that is the mindfulness. And at the beginning it is not that easy. So our mind may jump to what has happened at our college, or what is going to happen in the future. So what my mother will tell me, what my father will tell me, likewise. So there are various thoughts happening to the mind. So therefore it is going up and down. But this fluctuating mind, now we are trying to stabilize simply using walking meditation. So we are being mindful while walking. Similarly, suppose when you are trying to be mindful while breathing, it's difficult at the beginning, but slowly as you continue your practice, you can understand, you can keep your mind on several breaths. It starts with only few breaths, but now you have the skill to keep it for say about 10 breaths, say about 15 breaths, say about 20 breaths. So likewise we are developing this skill, and gradually therefore we are trying to avoid that unsteady, fickle nature of the mind. Rather now we are trying to stabilize it. We are trying to straighten it. And sometimes the mind is moving to various harmful thinking. Even though we understand it is harmful or it is useless to think like that, still mind is engaged in such thinking. But slowly as we move forward, as we develop mindfulness, so we are gaining some amount of control. So as a result, we will be able to keep our attention or our mind only some useful objects, or only on some beneficial objects, beneficial way of thinking. And Buddha is giving a very beautiful simile in this verse. Like in the good old days, people are using bow and arrow since they didn't have any sophisticated tools like today, so they simply go to a forest and they find various trees and branches, and using those very preliminary techniques, they have to prepare these arrows and arrow shaft. So Buddha, using this simile, he says, so suppose that the person, that is the fletcher, come across a branch which is not that straight. It has various bends and it has various knots. So he can't immediately use it as an arrow shaft. Rather, he has to straighten it. He has to remove all these unnecessary parts and have to make it a perfect arrow shaft. It has to be well balanced, it has to be well straight, and then only he can shoot it to the correct aim. So similarly, Buddha says the wise person is using various techniques to straighten the mind. He is trying to use different techniques to straighten the mind. So ultimately he will be able to protect the mind, and again he will be able to straighten the mind and to stabilize the mind, and again think what is beneficial to him. So this is in a way a long-term process that we are trying to slowly develop step by step. So therefore let's continue our practice. Ultimately we will be able to have a fairly straightened, fairly beneficial mind which is helpful to ourselves and helpful to the others. Thank you very much.